Hi, my name is Mrs. Oversh, and I'm so happy you're here to learn with me today. Today we're going to be talking about force and motion. We're going to read a story together today to learn about force and motion together. When we're reading our story today, we're going to be reading a non-fiction text. Can you say the word non-fiction? Non-fiction means we're going to read something that gives us real, true information. So in this informational text, we're going to learn about force and motion. Our story today is called Check It Out, Force and Motion. And our story is written by Clint Twist. Let's go ahead and get started. What do you see on the front of our book? Is that a bear? It's a bear sliding down a mountain. I wonder what that has to do with force and motion. Let's see. Check It Out, Force and Motion by Clint Twist. Since our story is a nonfiction text and an informational book, it often gives us a table of contents. That means it's going to tell us all the different things that we're going to learn about before we even read our story. So we know we're going to read about motion, pushing, pulling, changes in motion, slopes, friction, changing shape, and changing direction. That's all in our table of contents, and those are all the things we're going to read about in our story together. Let's go ahead. Our first page is about motion. When things are moving, they are in motion. Things in motion move from one position to another. The tiger is walking across the snow. He is in motion. Walking and running are both types of motion. Do you think that jogging and crawling are also types of motion? Yeah. So a motion is a change in position. Our next page says, what do you think? Things that are not moving are not in motion. Their positions do not change. The tiger has stopped moving. What happens to the tiger's position when he's not in motion? Our tiger has stopped walking. He's now laying down and no longer in motion. So what's going to happen to his position now that he's no longer moving? It's going to stay the same. He's not moving, so his position will stay the same. Our next page is pushing. A force is something that causes motion. Pushing is one kind of force. This cat is pushing the wagon. She is using force to make the wagon move. So force equals motion. If you're using force to make something move, that means you're putting something in motion. What do you think? When two cats push against the wagon, more force is used. Will two cats move the wagon more than one cat? What do you think? Do you think two cats can move the wagon better than one cat? Yeah, if two cats are moving the wagon, they're using more force. That means they're able to push it harder than just one cat. Pulling. Pulling is another type of force. It is easy to pull something light. You do not need to use much force. This dog can easily pull one rabbit. So something light equals less force needed to pull. So if I'm carrying something light, I'm using less effort than if I try to carry something really heavy. So bringing in a bag of bread is easier than bringing in a can of soda. What do you think? Is it harder to pull something that's heavy So now we have our picture with our dog, and look at all the rabbits that are in the wagon. So is it gonna be harder for our dog to pull this wagon now that there are so many rabbits? Will the dog use more full force to pull many rabbits than he used to pull just one rabbit? I bet so. He's gonna have to use a lot more force because now his wagon is more heavy. Changes in motion. Objects do not all move at the same speed. The more force you use to move an object, the faster it will move. A marble moves quickly when the player uses a lot of force to flick it. So, more force equals a faster speed. What do you think? A strong push will make this car move quickly. How do you think this boy can make his car move slowly? So if you want your car to move really fast, you push it really hard. But what if you don't want the car to move fast? Are you going to push it harder or softer? That's right, if we want to use less force, we push it softer or slower, using less force. Slopes. Here's our picture of our bear going down our mountain. Let's see what it says. Slopes change how much force is needed to move something. It takes less force to move something down a slope. It's easy for this bear to slide down the hill. So down equals less force needed. So it's easy for us to go down a slope, kind of like going down a slide. What do you think? These dogs are pulling a sled up a slope. Look at all the dogs they have attached to our pulley, and they are pulling it up a slope. Will the dogs use more force going up or down a slope? Do you think it's harder for them to pull it up the mountain versus going down the mountain? Yeah, I think so. They're going to use more force going up the mountain than they would going down. Friction. Friction is a force that stops things from moving easily. Friction happens when things slide against one another. Smooth surfaces cause less friction than rough ones. So snow is smooth. Things can slide easily on snow. A smooth surface equals less friction. What do you think? Grass has a rougher surface than snow. Is it harder to slide down a snowy or a grassy slope? So if I got my sled out and I wanted to go down a snowy hill, do you think it'd be easier for me to do it in the snow or on a hill that just has grass? It's going to be easier in the snow because it's a smooth surface. Changing shape. Force doesn't just make things move. Force can also change the shape of some objects. The more force you use, the more the shape will change. You can push and pull dough into shapes with your hands. Small force equals shape changes a little. What do you think? When you push your finger gently against a piece of clay, you can change its shape a little. What will happen to the shape of the clay if you push it with more force? So if I'm holding Play-Doh or clay, I push it a little bit, it's going to make a little itty bitty dent. But what if I use lots of force and push a lot onto the clay? Do you think my clay is going to change its shape? Yeah, the clay will change its shape because you're using more force to make it move. Changing direction. Force can be used to change the direction of a moving object. When the boy kicks the ball, he's using force to move it. He pushes the ball in a direction. What do you think? Another soccer player tries to change the direction of a ball by using force. What happens to the direction of the ball when the player kicks it? If a player kicks the ball, is the ball going to move wherever it wants, or is it going to move in the direction she kicked it? the ball will move in the direction that she kicked it. And the end. Here are all the meanings of those words that we learned about in our story. Thank you so much for listening to this nonfiction book with me about force and motion. My name is Mrs. Overish, and I'll see you next time.